See you later. Welcome to Psychic Frank's. Ah, I love that sound. Psychic Frank's Mystery School. It's a very, very, very auspicious day today because 2 hours ago, I'm taping this at 10:55, just about 10:55 on Friday, the 17th of April. Oh, this is a guy I want to win. Oh yeah, he's amazing. Uh, Shukat for Congress. Oh, I love this guy. He comes right out and says he's anti-establishment. I just adore this guy. And there's a picture of him. He was in the fourth grade. Uh, this kid is going to write the new Green Deal. Yeah, I love him. I love. I've been meaning. I have another poster of him that I'll bring in next time I'm here. 10 planets and all total planets and asteroids and whatever. 10 of them all lined up today on this Aries new moon. Very, very rare event. And I've been neglecting my duty not to talk about it for a few minutes before we get into the real nitty gritty of what's going on. Oh man, it's well. See, with all this Mars energy, it's like phew, intense emotions. So we got to keep grounded. We got to keep like the infinite ground of being, Being, the infinite ground of being is always there for us. Or for me, personalize it, the infinite ground of being is always there for me. I always say 3 times and then drop your grounding cord, give it a tongue. Okay, and just be here. And also, it's like a Fellini film on a bad acid trip. When you walk around the city these days, it's just a heartache. Nothing but a heartache everywhere. No, it was the Flirtations back in the '60s, Motown. There, the Flirtations. No, but nothing but a heartache every day. Oh, I love that. They played it on K-Poo. I still listen to K-Poo, by the way. If I had money, I'd give it to you guys. Just I love to support, K-Poo. KPOO. Anyway, yeah, speaking of that, it's been, it reminds me of back when the first guy landed on the moon. And, they had in Harlem the Woodstock, the Harlem Woodstock that very same day. And Marvin Gaye was singing Rockets, Moonshots, Spend It on the Have-Nots. If you've been watching this show for a while now, you know how I feel about NASA. Never a straight answer. It's and all this every channel now. It's like generation after generation now since Kennedy. It's been rockets, moonshots. Blame it. Give it to the have-nots, man. With all the misery on this planet, do you think that in billions of years of intelligence, higher intelligence, is going to live, some pissant humans, like NASA, these, you know, they, they're either like, Einstein said, two things are infinite, the universe and human stupidity. And I'm not sure about the universe. I mean, these cats that have been raking in this mega bucks at NASA, and are like, gods, walking human gods. Uh, uh, they're either, stupidity is infinite, or they're just bad. They just know we're as far out of space we're ever going to get. They know this isn't about exploration and all this. I was thinking on the way over here now, their defense is all these medical devices and all this technology to help prolong life on this planet. We're killing the Earth. We're killing the Earth, NASA. You're punching holes in our ozone layer. Our precious planet, so rare to have just the conditions for human, and we don't want to accept the fact that we got to deal with overpopulation. Our ego is not our amigo. On this new moon today, let's plant some. Let's question everything now. But you can't. You can't. It's un-American. If you say anything about NASA, the FBI be on your ass like white on rice. It's sort of like better to be communist than anti. I don't know. The worst thing you could be is anti. Say anything about NASA. We put these guys on such a pedestal, and all this hype now, all this hoopla about this big thing with NASA, around the moon, whatever the hell they did with our money, um, for pictures. Man, cheap thrills, man, are not cheap. We're destroying precious minds now. Oh my God, it's just I have to turn off my TV now because it's all about over and over again the same pictures we've been seeing over and over again. The moon is that's our close. Without the moon is our mother, our life giver. Without the moon, we wouldn't have the tides. Hence, we wouldn't have life on this planet. There's this book called Snafu about same normal, everything effed up, and it's about since the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, up to the present. This guy Ed Helms wrote it, and back after Hiroshima, now they made toys in the 50s with your own a Geiger counter would set them off for kids to make their own nuclear devices at home. They wanted to, if you read it in, I'm not making this up, the book Snafu talks about, the guy did his research. They wanted to put an atomic bomb on the moon. Oy vey me. This is like, but thank God that was shot down by some sane minds, some sane minds. But as I said, we got to question everything now and start taking our power back. And that's just NASA's got to stop. We got to, because it isn't about anything more than control. It's just funny to even think it, but they want to control the universe. This little planet. That's why the astronauts said one good thing. It's humbling. To see. See how small we are. Well, come back and tell it. And explain to us now. Okay, we got all the pictures we need now. Let's start spending money, time, and energy and glorifying. You know, oceans and everything. Yeah, oh yeah, when they talk about we've made all these discoveries of NASA now, they wouldn't have all these plastic to put in our bodies, or who knows what they're talking about. It's all con artists grift. But they don't understand how many natural, organic, man-made, natural herbs, animals, species that are extinct now. There's depths of the ocean now that who knows what they hold for us, or what they could have hold for us. But no, we spent all this money, spent like instead of exploring ourselves, we've done that to the planet too, the macro and the micro. We've totally just ignored where we've been shitting where we sleep, man. Even chickens know not to do that. You know, you go these chicken brain knuckle draggers. That's putting gorillas down. But NASA now, let's just stop this shit. And like the city's in $1 billion worth of debt. Oh, this is precious. Easter Sunday, Hayes Valley experienced what I've been talking about. Alcoholics, unless you sober up, is not enough. You'll just be like, a sober mess, a sober alcohol. You'll be on a dry drunk. And that's what I think a lot of these guys are. They're on dry drunks now. They do these stupid things and they're not even. So the whole thing now about the nature of an alcoholic is they're self-centered. They don't care about anything but themselves. They're the great dissolver. They dissolve everything from civilizations to money to bank accounts to families to kids' minds. I mean, it's the great dissolver. Alcohol is just, and now the whole World Organization of Health said there's not one drop of alcohol that's good for the human body under any circumstances. And yet we've got a governor now who's got a lot of money. His whole life is invested in, it's called Plump Jack. And it's all about, I wrote it down here. It's about Plum Jack is a power player and both Napa Valley wineries and the San Francisco's social scene. He wants us to be as drunk and loud as possible. And now because we got a mayor who's right up governor's ass, and he doesn't need to be because his mother's a billionaire, but just because he's either stupid or just mean, I think it's ignorance, but I'm giving him the benefit of doubt there. And his orders now, and so they got away. Follow me here, please. It's important. They gutted London Breed gutted all these departments. One of which was so key was called the Noise Pollution Department, and replaced it with the Entertainment Commission, who are working for. They got the job of a lifetime now. They say jump Governor Newsom now. It says give permits for as many and as loud events. The sky's the limit. Screw the goddamn residents of this city. We're gonna get money. We're gonna get back $1 billion London Breed screwed us out of. Yeah, Hurricane London Breed now, and it's still the prices are still rising now. And Laurie, before he skipped town to go to China conveniently and Shanghai business, everybody in the city now who works for the city, a lot of them are getting their walking papers because he's cutting jobs in the city because to pay for the London Breed fiasco that we're still paying for. It started with Ed Lee. That's why this guy, Gory Laurie, is always in China now trying to kiss the Chinese people's asses because, they figured out how bad Ed Lee was. Chairman Ed Lee, just call him what he was. He hated democracy. He created the homeless thing, and then he and then he his exact words were get rid of the homeless. There's a slogan, Maya Angelou, God bless her, has been giving me this slogan, and she wrote it actually, and it says, "Forgive yourself for not knowing what only time could teach you." Wow, isn't that beautiful? Forgive yourself for not knowing what only time can teach you. On this new moon now, with all this Aries energy now, let's instead of the lower octaves of Aries energy is fighting, no, we're putting it up, we're bringing it, jacking it up a whole lot of octaves now. Forgiveness is the fragrance that the flower gives to the heel who crushed it. This Laurie Newsom, oh, got to get these guys out of here now. They lied to us. They're grifters, man. They got a lot invested. Power plunk here, plump jack. It's a power player and the social scene. So every time, so on Easter Sunday, it was like 11:30 in the morning, and I usually don't. It's a waste of energy, and I don't even bother the department anymore because if you call the non-emergency please number, it's 553-0123, and you say you have a noise complaint, and I talk about the beer garden on the corner of Octavia and Fell, 424 Octavia. No, they have no walls. They have a cyclone fence around it. I said, and I know, we have no citizens have no rights, but I was at City Hall and I heard them say there's a certain amount of decibels that they have to be under. I said, and I could tell right now this is going to be one of those days where it's going to be a really loud Sunday, and it's Easter Sunday. Well, that was 11:30 in the morning, and oh my God, the walls were vibrating. The walls were vibrating. Not only in my apartment, people are still talking about it. And what is this? The 17th of April. Yeah, I was across the street at Patricia Green Park playing with. I don't have a dog. I have a parrot, but who doesn't go out of the house. And of course, females don't like to go out. She's got her nest. Her little universe is with me. But anyway, I was talking to all the neighbors and playing with their dogs, and I look up, I go, how about the attack we suffered Easter Sunday? And they go, our walls, the first words out of their mouth was, our walls are vibrating. I'm just laughing because I've been saying this for the last 10, since we made some headway with it. And then, of course, the virus and the shutdown in 2019, virus 2019 there start hit us. And then everything shut down. And then when the reopened, this beer garden named after, they spell it like BEI, the German way. I think it sounds like the Alpine retreat that Nazi Germany, Hitler's Alpine mountain retreat was called something garden. It sort of sounds like the beer garden. And these are, Germans, German nationalists, I guess, on the worst side. I know there's good Germans. I know there's good Germans. There's also bad apples in every nationality. We're all one. I'm not saying that, but so as I said, this reminded me now, with everybody feeling so hopeless and unguided, and I can't afford to see a psychic. I'm not into astrology. Blah 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 blah. Okay, it's a day to really empower yourself. Okay, let's get to Shirley Maclaine. This is a book, The Dust Jacket's Gone. I realize how important dust jackets are now. So a long time ago, before I even, before that was even a thing to do, I always would take them out and put them somewhere safe. And then I forgot where they put them, and they got thrown away. So anyway, so I don't have the dust jacket for this, but there was a time in the '80s, right around the time Ronald Reagan came along to destroy the middle class, and this son of a gun we have now in the White House has Reagan's picture big there. Now, this is trickle down. They said, Frank, wait, you'll see trickle down. You'll see if it doesn't work, Frank. People aren't stupid. They'll get rid of it. No, no. This is the results of. They said you'll see the results of trickle down. Well, it's been a few decades now, and this is it. This is the results of Ronald Reagan's trickle downonomics. And even what's her name, Joy Behar on The View, said a couple of weeks ago. I was listening to her, and she mentioned Ronald Reagan. They were talking about Ronald Reagan, and she had the nerve to say, "Well, Ronald Reagan did some good things." No, that doesn't. He did nothing good enough to forgive him for the fiasco he did. That racist, he was a look. My finger just went up there subconsciously. Yeah, this is to you, Uncle Ronnie. Yeah, f you and your whole family. And oh God, help me. It's I don't want you to see. I'm using this Aries energy. It's a struggle here to make it a game to get back into my center now. Okay, so getting back to Shirley Maclaine, this was just before the computer rage. Everything went digital and all that, and I got on her mailing list, and her secretaries would send me, and I guess thousands of other people. I don't know, maybe hundreds. Who knows? She was down in L.A. And she had written the book came out on a limb about all of her meetings with extraterrestrials and all that when she was in South America. So I was definitely taken with her and adored her more than I ever adored her for any of her abilities. And then I got all her books, and then I'm rereading them. And the other day I was asking my guys getting ready for this show now, and they told me, this book sort of just literally fell off the shelves off this shelf on this time for me. But that's what sort of happens. I've been doing something, all of a sudden I'll get up. My body will, if you just let your body, it'll do it automatically, and it'll just go and reach for something. I think this might have been one of those things. And I said, oh my God. So I'm looking through this now, and because I'm a total Jungian from head to toe, from stern to bow, I'm all about Carl Jung. And then what Ms. McLean, still with us by the way, is talking about is synchronicity, is religion without dogma, wherein all are free to draw their own conclusions from personal experience. Appreciation of the synchronicity in our lives gives us spiritual self-confidence, engenders philosophical investigation. Our physical world stands in relation to the unseen spiritual dimension in the same way that a music soundtrack underscores the action and drama of the feature film. And then she goes on about Joseph Campbell, to paraphrase Joseph Campbell, the soul of the human is where the inner and the outer worlds meet. Also, awareness of synchronicity instills compassion for all living things because it helps us see that each one is an important piece of the growing mosaic of creation. We're all connected. The synchrony starts, it's not only these cute little things like you're thinking something and then boom, it happens. I remember way back, we're talking like 40, just about 40 years ago, because I had just moved into my, where I am now. And my buddy, who's now a widower, who lives in Amsterdam with his daughter, she's the same age as my Gabby, in her early 30s. And, um, and he and his wife, of course, his daughter was born in Mill Valley, and he's a gifted psychic, and we met a long time ago. And he came in and anyway, we were talking, and every time I would talk to him, I was in the mystery school then. That's where I met him, and I would tell him about these coincidences in my life. And after around a year of that, he said, "Frank, you're psychic. Would you stop with this coincidence thing?" And then, as fate would have it, again synchronicity. I happened to be at the right place at the right time with the asthmatic heiress. She was buying, I don't know, armoires for this piece of property she had. It was, spending money as heiresses do. And I was just going along for the free lunch. And there were these people doing Reiki. So I said, "What's going on here?" And she said, "Oh, it's Reiki." I said, "What?" And she goes, "Go have a sample. They're giving it away." So I sat there, and this girl just really like put her hands on me, and what it did was wake up my own ability. So I was so taken with this, because I physically I felt a whole lot better. So long story short, I took the information. It was this woman from LA who I believe was a true Reiki master. I knew that for many, many reasons. And I took the classes. It was like a month, a few weeks of classes. And then they had just happened to be on my birthday, November 14th, 1987. I went into the Unitarian Church. They were renting out the space there on Franklin Street. And they lowered the lights, and then she went around. And then when she got to me, she did this thing on all these people. There was a couple of dozen of us, and we sort of bonded in a nice way. And then when she came to me, she said, "Wow, you already have something that isn't right." And she sort of said something that made me realize, wow, she didn't say that to anybody else here. So anyway, that was, and then I wanted to, give it. I wanted like when you realize you have this gift, you want to give it. At least that's what I wanted. Yeah, look, I, I've been chosen now. I'm a conduit for this wonderful and this energy. But all the while, it wasn't Reiki. So anyway, so I said, being humble, because I had before that been involved heavily with the Tibetan monks, and I just knew humility from my AA days, which I graduated from. That humility is such a precious word. If you say it, you don't have it. So striving for humility, I was like very like humbled. Yeah, I went out on a limb there. So anyway, I was in Japantown, and it was, the woman that initiated me wasn't there, of course, but I was going to say funkies, but her disciples were there, so to speak. And the room was full with around 30 people, a few Asians, but mostly white women. It was like over 30. It was a nice sized room. And then there were like me and several other men and women, all about the same age, who were all, don't forget, this is like we're talking almost 30 something years ago. No, more than that. Yeah, 40 years ago. And right around the time, 87, 87. So, uh, this woman sat in front of me, and I put my hands on her head to go, not touching her, just like 3, 5 inches above her head. And all of a sudden, she started screaming, "Ah, you're burning me! You're burning me!" So I immediately got away and stopped that. And then the woman, the instructors or whoever came over, and there was no marks on her head or anything. And I just left. I just left and never went back. And I said, "Okay, it's not Reiki. I get it." you know. So then what happened around that same time, and I got this just another synchronistic. So that was synchronicity just then. That was, see, synchronicity happens in a very uncomfortable way, but that was synchronicity or serendipity. They used to call things like that word came out as serendipity around the 1920 something, 24, no, late 1800s, around there, some 18 something is when that word serendipity. But then Jung came around in the early 1920s with around with the word synchronicity. Anyway, so what happened was I got a call the other day from a woman I hadn't talked to in like 25 years, longer than that. Yeah, and she's relocated in Hawaii. She used to live in San Francisco. Do you remember me? And I said, no. I said, give me a little something. And she mentioned the woman's name who I remember, I'll never forget. And I said, wow, how is she? And she goes, oh, she's living in Spain, Barcelona. I said, how old is the girl? The bird. How old is her daughter? And she said, "Oh, she's told me 20 something now. She's no, in her late 20s or something like that." And I said, "Oh yeah, so so she's going to be in the city. She's going to be in San Francisco sometime in May or June. So she wanted to make an appointment with me, and we had a nice little talk. What happened was, okay, this is very important. I went to she was a really sweet woman. I was working on a lot of people then because I just that's how you get better. Practice. How do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice, practice, practice. So yeah, I would work on everybody. And we became friends, sort of. Like everybody I work with. And very heavy said, nice, beautiful woman, young woman, and lesbian, and she goes off. She was made money doing bartending and all kinds of jobs, and someone offered her this gay bar was opening up in Florida, and they offered her a lot of money to spend a couple of a month or so a month in Florida, managing this the bartenders in this, and she went. And then they offered her a lot of money. And then she came back. And then a month later or two, she called me and told me, I got to see you. I'm pregnant. And I said, what? So, yeah, anyway, long story short, she's convinced it was divine intervention. She wasn't a drinker, but somehow, as alcohol seems to do, in a blackout, yeah, it socially lubricates you, but it also, makes you, a lot of people have sex they wouldn't have had under the influence of alcohol. And these cats know it, but that's another story. So anyway, long story short, she gave birth to, and she had asthma, by the way. So she gave birth to the people called me that, oh, this woman had a baby, healthy baby girl. And I said, oh, thank you for telling me that. It was at Alta Bates Hospital, that's in the Bay Area over by Berkeley over there. And but now it's no longer conducive as it were. It used to be alternative healing. Healers were really welcome there. That's not the case anymore. That was decades ago. That was then. This is now. Now they're just like all the other death mills around. So anyway, around 4 days later, I got a call from this woman who had called me from Ohio and said, Frank, we're in trouble here. I go, why? What's going on? She goes, well, she gave birth to the baby. They put her in an asthmatic coma because during giving birth, she went into an asthmatic fit or something. So they put her in induced a coma, and she won't come out of it. And it's going on 5 days. So we'll meet you at the BART station. And I said, sure, so hopped right out to BART and took a train where they told me to get off. And there they were. And they drove me to the hospital, the Alta Bates Hospital. And I said, oh, before we go into the intensive care ward, can I go past the nursery? I want to see the baby. And, there are all these infants, must have been a dozen or maybe 2 dozen, who knows, it's like you look through the glass, just like and there are all the babies wrapped up in little and there, right there was this one little baby girl with black, beautiful long hair. I blessed myself. I'm not even a practicing Christian, but she looked like the Madonna. She looked like the Carmelite Madonna in the Bronx. My family used to go to. My grandmother used to was a patron saint of Our Lady of Carmel, the Madonna of Carmel. Yeah, she looked like a beautiful little Madonna. So I said, "Oh, how beautiful!" So I went up to the intensive ward, and back then, I just started doing healing. So I took off my shoes because I think the energy. I used to think I convinced myself somehow the energy flows better if I'm barefoot. And she was all attached to all these, the respirators and all the machines, beep 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 beep. So I managed to get in there and then started running energy through her, not even touching her. And from her head to her toe, must have taken a total 10 minutes, not even 7 or 8, 10 minutes. And then I closed the energy and I went back to the end of the foot of the bed where the chair was, and I put my shoes on, and as I was putting my shoes back on, um, see the beep 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 beep, everything started going off. Nurses and doctors started running in, and so I just slip out the bag, Jack. Make a new plan, Sam. Anyway, well, anyway, the baby's christening, everybody, oh, this is the healer. But see, I've been smoking pot for a long, long time. And because I smoke pot, I mean, people don't want didn't want anything to do with me back then. So even though, all of her family and friends, they are mostly Latinos, beautiful Mexican people, but somehow weren't digging the fact that I was a cannabis freak. And but they all like, oh, they were very happy to meet me and all that. And then I lost contact with her, and then of course the show started, and my life went on. So that's what I'm just saying. That was again another synchronicity. So the synchronicity. So as I said, I got this ability to do so much. Not just me. There's many. I'm sure I'm not an egomaniac, and it's not me. Whenever people say, "Oh, thank you for what you," it's I'm just a conduit. I do I'm not I do not have a messiah complex. I do not believe for one magic moment. But seeing the pictures of the Mango Mussolini with this energy flying out of his hands, and it reminded me of there's got to be thousands in the Bay Area alone of these Reiki healers. Or I wasn't putting down Reiki healers. They're fantastic. I get a Reiki healing wherever I can. You know, it's a beautiful energy thing, but my energy is more transformative at a very, very intense level. A lot of times, like what Shirley says here, a healing crisis will happen, and things get a lot worse, but apparently a lot worse before they get better. And then we've got some more time here. And some other things that she says here. The term synchronicity was coined by one of the 20th century's most influential thinkers, the Swiss psychologist Carl Jung. Jung defines synchronicity as, quote unquote, any apparent coincidence that inspires a sense of wonder and personal meaning or particular significance in the observer. It is a perceived connection between two or more objects or events or persons without any recognizable cause. He used the term for the first time in 1930 to describe a situation in which apparently unrelated events converge to form a shared experience regarded as momentous by the person and person experience it. Yes, these momentous, mind blowing. Well, it's all about synchronicity is the connecting link that we have to a non-material, non-physical reality. Well, she wrote this before non-locality, in the 78th there. Well, no, he was saying non-locality, but I guess Shirley hadn't found Larry Dossey, Dr. Larry Dossey, who loves Space of Miracles and all that. He his book on non-locality is where it's at, man. Because we're everything. They're dealing with the local consciousness, the whole world of medicine, the industrial pharmaceutical. They're all dealing for complex. They're all dealing with the local. Right now, I'm dealing with multidimensional connections, and you got the same apparatus in you now. So start opening up. Meaningful synchronicity happens to everyone, whether one is aware of when is aware of them is often the question. Whether you're aware, like these things happen, you just shrug them off. Like 3 years, a couple of years there, I was having these mind blowing events happen, when I would say, "Oh, that's a coincidence." It's funny how the denial, because I remember years ago I would see like certain psychics on TV or hear about. I go, "Oh, I'd love to have that ability." Isn't it funny? I had that ability all the while, so it wasn't. Yeah, I just knew I was different. I had this ability. Well, what happened was I'm the product of a botched adoption, and fortunately, I only got to spend not even 10 years with the family who adopted me. Well, I stayed with the grandparents of that family for the first couple of years. It's a long story, but they had me convinced. They wanted to kill me. Yeah, they totally wanted to kill me. Yeah, they. I wasn't, I don't know what that was all about. Well, as I said, but I wasn't thrilled. I paid a price, but then I always knew it does get better. It does get better. But now I realize we all have different abilities. But right now, as I said, it's not just me, but there's so many healers now that could be. But we have no place to meet anymore. Divide and conquer now. This mayor has the ability now to do the Cannabis Alternative Healing Day. He could give his finger to the industrial pharmaceutical industry. He could give his finger to his best friend, Gavin Newsom, and I'd say no, liquor is poison. Let's give weed a chance. Let's give peace a chance. You know, the only violence that comes around from cannabis is people trying to get it because it's too goddamn expensive. George Washington said, plant it everywhere. Those cats, never in their wildest dreams would think that the stupidity of this and the greed, and it's all corporate greed. What's her name? I love her so much. The new mayor of Oakland, Barbara, is it Barbara Lee there? And she said they put a microphone in her face and asked her what she when she first took office. What was her words on cannabis, and she looked right at the camera and said it should never have been outlawed in the first place. It was that tricky Dick Nixon, who had the right in his hand the years of research. The research has been done. Richard Nixon didn't like what it said, so he destroyed it. That little monster, that Capricorn monster, and the misery, because he said the hippies and the blacks didn't like him. So he said, heroin, will flood heroin, that'll get the blacks, and we'll get the hippies with making cannabis as bad as heroin. And of course, the CIA, I could go on and on. I lived through all that in the 70s. You get a bundle of deuces for, $10. I mean, and it was, there's no such word as good heroin, but it would kill you. It would kill you. When they did, Lenny Bruce said, "Oh yeah, I got swept up in that." Well, I saw an abyss, man. I had to jump in it. I didn't even know. I wasn't years later, but the Tibetan Buddhist monks told me I did good coming out of that. But that was part of my karma. But as I said, Lenny Bruce said, "Dying's the best rush of all. That's why they save it for last." Carl Jung said, "The psyche or soul is real, autonomous, and oriented towards wholeness. There's no wholeness going on now. It's all here's where the healers, alternative medicine, cannabis instead of tobacco, cannabis instead of liquor. I don't care why you do it. Just get away from cannabis, weed, tobacco, and liquor. Uh, and let's tear down all those vines, grow them in your own little yard. And like my grandparents did, they had a little vineyard in the backyard, and every year they made grapes for jam and wine. You could do that if you want to poison yourself, but now that could all be cannabis. There could be all this beautiful cannabis fields, strawberry fields forever. You know, so yeah, we keep our balance personally and culturally by listening to the unconscious as it speaks through dreams, intuition, synchronicity, symptoms, moods, symbols. So when you wake up in the morning, I am open to synchronicity. I am open to. You say it 3 times all day long. Boom, 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 boom. Synchronicity. It happens so. Yeah, like I say, it's been happening for so long, so many decades now that I don't even until I was thinking the other day about, yeah, synchronicity, man. People want it, and my guys told me. They said, and I opened right up to the page. So the book I'm reading this from is Shirley Maclaine. So this is the killer. I love this. Sage hyphen ing while age hyphen ing. Saging while aging. So that means saging while aging. It means while you get older, So you don't need to be taking all these drugs. They tell you, oh yeah, I get so many of these telemarketers thing now. As soon as they hear, can I have your age? The minute you say 77, oh, we're gonna connect you, and boop, boop, I hang up right away. I go, so it's like saying Niagara Falls. All of a sudden they hear this. I guess anything over that, as soon as they hear this, it's like they have a little wet dream. They sort of have oh, that's what Donald Trump's now. He's living his wet dream. I mean, he's been dreaming about being what's happening now since where most kids were, masturbating over Farrah Fawcett's, pictures and stuff. This is what he was masturbating about. Yeah, he is living. Donald Trump is living his own personal. He's living in his own little Idaho. It's a how that's like spitting in Idaho. No, Idaho's a nice place. No, he's just yeah, okay. So the unconscious isn't a junk room of repressed thoughts. It's a creative partner, a source of new life that acts on its own. The fact that the unconscious can interrupt our speech, memory, and actions. The unconscious is not just a byproduct of repression, it's a creative partner that generates new contents. And libido is not only a sexual drive, but it's a general energy of the psyche able to flow, hunger, power, curiosity, religious experience, and that's that hit. Being there's a lot of want to be healers or constantly who need the validation. So if you're a healer and you're still doing healings, I know a lot of times I'd be in it, especially because I started doing healing. The AIDS in '87, there was a lot of still people dying, dropping like flies from AIDS and all kinds of different things. And I was became really familiar with this is really before the hospitals all became death mills like they are now. All equipment now. You got to be IBM technician to keep the. It's like how do you keep a dead side of beef alive or something? I'm just being graphic, but that's how it is, man. And and yeah, and I as I said, yeah, and to have people, they have all kinds of. Well, I lost my whole train of thought there. Yeah, I don't go to the last time a guy said to me he was his I was involved with he and his cousin and he knew he was dying. He had actually lived like 15 years past where they told him he was going to die as a teenager, and so he was in his early 30s and he was spitting up blood. He had some really rare heinous condition in his heart or something, uh, birth defect, and as doctor said he lived remarkably long, and he knew that the ambulance was coming for him and that he was going to make the transition. That we were alone in this room for a few minutes and I promised him I'd be there for him because I had been working on him all along for the year or so I had known him. And then, sure enough, I get a call from the family. Yeah, he's on a respirator now. He's in a coma, and I went there, and I didn't take off my shoes this time, and there was this nurse right next to him, a few feet next to him, with this equipment, and her hands were going like, and she was watching all these meters, and meanwhile he's sitting there, he's laying there, you know, I could psychically tell him, Frank, thank God you made it. Totally, like a lump, just the body. And as soon as I got past all this equipment and put my hands on his crown, I just that high, I didn't touch anything. The equipment started going haywire, and I looked up, and his soul just went right out of his crown chakra. I'd seen that happen with other people I'd been working on, but never when that dramatic a surrounding. And of course, the nurse started screaming at me, "What did you do? Get out of here!" And I was like, "I'm being thrown out of intensive care for liberating a soul who I made a contract with." Okay, before I pick a few cards for you all, right as we speak now, well, actually now the moon has moved into Taurus as of, but just a few hours ago we right now, okay, Neptune 2 degrees Aries, Mercury 3 degrees Aries, Mars We're talking right now. 5 degrees Aries. Saturn, 7 degrees. Um, and then Chiron, 25, 26 degrees. Moon, 20, well, in Taurus now. And the sun, 27 degrees. Yeah, so as I said, Aries. A lot of Aries go is past now. And now the real big event is on the 26th. Now, what happened, okay, every time Uranus enters Aries, okay, it happened with the Civil War, it happened with World War, the Civil War, okay, the Revolutionary War, the Civil War, and World War II. And now it's going to start, and now Uranus is going to enter Aries again on the 26th of this month. That's what, a week from now? Today's the 17th. So in a few days, um, and as I said, this is all, I had a piece of paper here, and I don't know where it went. Got that out of the way. Let's see. Excuse me. Oh yeah, let's see where all this energy is happening in our charts for because we're all Americans now. So what's happening with all this Aries energy? Oh yeah, this is important. Here's the fourth house now. America on the 4th of July, 5:10 p.m. Philadelphia, 1776. Um, our day and month vibrates to 11. Couldn't be more spiritual. Seven. We don't want to reduce it to a mundane, which we've already done. We've got to get back up to that 11, and we add one to that, so we're in a 3 year now. This 2026 is a 1 year. Add that to 11. 111 is three. So this is a year now, especially July. We're going to see new sprouts come up with the seeds we planted last 2 years ago. And as I said, because 1 degree Aries, three minutes is our fourth house cusp. All this Aries energy is mostly um, in our fourth house, around our Chiron, the wounded healer in Aries there, in opposition to Saturn itself. So yeah, and we're having right, but wait, there's more. We're also having our Uranus return, not our yeah, when we were born, the planet Uranus was 9 degrees Gemini in our fifth, in our health house. So when Uranus enters Gemini, which is all about um, conflict, uh, freedom, the opposite of Reaganism, Reaganomics. It's all about no one gets left out. It's all about, yeah, yeah. Well, I wrote down here something really interesting, being so pro cannabis. Reality is a crutch for those who can't, for people who can't handle marijuana. In Newsom's world, it's a virtue to poison human beings with alcohol and ignore the healing power of cannabis. Yeah, he's a mass murderer. He doesn't even know it. That's pathetic. He doesn't know by giving cannabis by not even it's not even on a table. He's not going to shoot himself in the wallet. He's not that stupid, you know. Yeah, he's not the sharpest knife in the drawer, and it's not about his handicap. He's just, he's not acting like anybody with any kind of a brain. Let's hope he gets a brain. I think, it sounds like a long shot, but I think numbnuts. What's his name? He's in China now. Our mayor. What's his name? Gruesome Newsom. Yeah, Mayor Newsom there. Gruesome uh, Laurie. Gruesome Laurie. Gory Laurie. That's it. Gory Laurie. Gavin Newsom and Gory Laurie. Yeah, Gory Laurie. I think he has been a couple of years when Uranus is on his sun. I think in Aquarius rather, or when Pluto's on his, oh yeah, he's gonna wake up big time, you know. And this is all happening in our fourth house as Americans now. That's a very essential house. Old astrology, it was the mother, and the 10th house was the father, but now in this sexually, I don't know what kind of a world, it's that they're both equal houses. I don't buy that. I don't buy that at all. I think just like your mother nurses you every day, your cosmic mother will nurture you every day of your life, even when you're an adult. If you have to touch into your fourth house to get that nourishment, so find out your astrology chart, find out what's ruling your fourth house, and then play with the higher octaves of Aries. And we were born with Chiron 20 degrees Aries, our wounded healer planet. That's where the light gets in. That's our psychic wound. That's our saving grace. So okay, well, let's pick a few cards now. We'll talk more about this next time I'm there. But in a way, we've come so close to losing having our democracy just die, and coming that close to death is pretty much like death itself. And death will pick you up, spin you around, and drop you down deeper in your own life. Let's start really stop pointing fingers and realize we created this mess. This mess started when Ford pardoned Nixon. This got a booster shot with the war of choice that Bush and Cheney got away with because President Obama, Barack Obama, refused to persecute him. Get this book. This is all about contemporary mystics, I believe, especially Dazzling Darkness by a guy named James Harper. I thought it was going to be like some kind of evangelical Christmas national bullshit, but no, man. This a beautiful. I got to own a copy of this, but it's not even out for print yet. I couldn't even buy a copy. I had the $35-40 they had to for it, but it's a really, really good book. And there's one thing about Mother Saint Teresa, the cloistered nuns, and as I said many times, I have a close connection to the cloistered order. It goes back to my grandmother's patron saint was Our Lady of Carmel in the Bronx, that chapel up there in the Bronx. And her statue has human long, beautiful hair. I remember I talked about that a few minutes ago. Yes, so they say, and it's been documented that in the convent, that she was with the cloistered nuns when she was a sister with the cloistered nuns, that she would levitate in her uncontrollably levitate off the ground in her meditations, and the sisters would come and hold her down. It took a lot to hold her down, and she would always fight with God. So stop using me this way. She didn't like the fact that God made her so when I think, God gave me this gift and it's frustrating me that I don't get to give it to anyone now, force the powers that be, I think, well, at least I'm not levitating. It's not that uncomfortable. It hurts though, but as I said, I'm going around, I'm doing things, When people see me, they finally see me, they always leave with the most common thing I get as I'm walking out the door is they look at me and they go, how do people find you? Well, I'm easy to find now, but I got no place to do what I do right now. But I think that's going to change. Before I get to the cards, in a couple of, no, 27. Oh, yeah, by June of 27, they're telling me we will have definitely, extraterrestrial mano to mano communications, if not physical, I believe, big time. Okay, with that said, what's going on now? What are my beloved friends and on my YouTube channel? Thank you and bless you all, and thank you for tuning in. And thanks for being with me for the few months I went through that anger and I dropped the MF word a lot. But I got stuck in the anger, but I got unstuck. No regrets. I did what I had to do. Okay, here's where we are. Here's what we think of ourselves, what we're fearing, what's going on for us, what's going on against us, and our final results there. Okay, on this beautiful, auspicious. Okay, right off the bat now, let me get this book. I don't know if this card's going to come up, but I know that this is the book by Melinda Lee Holm, your tarot guide. And Major Arcana call now is uh, called Where are we? Oh, 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute. The world. And hopefully I'll pick it out for you if we have some time here. But you don't need to see the picture. Just pull out a tarot deck, call up the world, and see what the image is. So I'll show you in a minute. The world teaches us. The world card is part of the major arcanum. It means that it's 22 out of the deck, only 22 major arcanas. It means it's timely. The world teaches us to celebrate the completion of one era and the dawning of the next. The phases of our lives don't have clean lines dividing them, period. There are intersectional periods where the elements of life loosen and rearrange themselves into a form that will best support the life that awaits us on the other side of the portal. Wow. Yeah, you are headed toward a major life transition. Even if this comes as a shock, it's grounds for celebration. You are graduating from this portion of your life. You have accomplished what you needed to do in this stage. You are ready to progress. Trust the universe to take you where you are meant to be. You will always still be you. Louise Hay used to say, God forbid you wouldn't go in. Oh, I used to win that, God forbid. But she used to say, you wouldn't go into a dumpster to make tonight's dinner. Don't go into old mental garbage to make today's reality. You know, the past is over and done. They are free. I am free. All is well in our world. I am safe to be me. It is safe to be me. I am safe to be me. You are safe to be you. They're afraid you're going to find out what's in you now, and they dread the day you figure that out. And everybody's figuring it out. Okay, okay, let's do a little dance with what we got. Let's stop cursing where we are now. Oh, my roommates, one of my, I got an apartment with my neighbors, mentally disturbed, and she escaped from. Yeah, there's a zillion nightmare. Focus on gratitude. Yeah, it's this heinous situation I find myself in. That means the gift is more glorious than I could ever imagine. Don't victims don't heal. Use these last. Oh, this is so important. We only have another few days now before Uranus is going to leave Taurus. It'll be like 80 something years now. So this is a once in a lifetime thing now, the shift from Taurus to Gemini. So this is like a really beautiful, beautiful. But make the most now. There's always a lot of power for something shifts like that that doesn't happen every day. So make sure you're grounded now. The infinite ground of being is always there for us. This is how we're feeling about ourselves. This isn't about the chariot driver. It's about the vehicle now. Papa's got a brand new bag. Papa's got a brand new bag. Homie, don't play that game no more. You know, Lori, Gory. We've got to bring back our alternative healings now. Let's stand up to the pharmaceutical industrial complex now. Let's give the psychics a place to, at least a little section of Golden Gate Park. You laid off. Think about this now. He's just yesterday before he skipped town, a little coward, laid off a whole mess of city and poor. Who these guys that are unemployment now? What's going to happen when that ends up? What happened to all the people at Bayvac now? What happened to the phones? We got to question everything now. They're all puppets for the string. Who's pulling the strings? Newsom, nuisance, Gavin, goddamn nuisance. Oh, I hope he defeated in a landslide as far as he even thinks about running for president. This is what we're feeling now. We no longer trust the moon as our mother. They predicted this would happen. And it is. It's here now. We've become so obtuse. We already. Oh, God help us. I'm seeing that Mars energy's getting me again. Okay, this is what's going on for us now. We know exactly what's wrong. It's no more. the, the racists are out. They haven't been this out since the 1930s. Herbert Hoover there. Yeah, we're growing up now. We've outgrown a lot now. This is when we don't change so much as we outgrow. We don't outgrow, we die. Yeah, it's a lot of, fight for something now. If you don't fight for, better to die for something than to live for nothing. We're on an endless journey through eternity, and there's plenty of time. The world's just friends we haven't met yet. Temperance steel is strong steel. Keep grounded, keep grounded. You have a right to be here. And let's just look for the synchronicity. Let's affirm it. Let's recognize it and thank it for when it happens. And you get to the point where it's like nonstop synchronicity, and then you really just always know, okay, I demand it sometimes, but after a while, the universe is just love. It's not sentimental. It's just love. Okay, we got maybe one more second there. Okay, it also has in here Thomas Merton, Simone Weil, all these amazing. And then in the middle they have all these beautiful pictures. It's the most exquisite book. As I said, I saw it at the library, and then I sat down and I go, oh, this is in extra evangelical bullshit. This isn't about the Nazi Jesus. This is cool stuff now. Yeah, and so yeah, and that's what we people, want mystical experiences now, and it's all happened. We're all having these contemporary mystical experiences, and um, and they're going to happen a lot more now. I think we're all becoming our own responsible. We all realize who's responsible for this mess we are in. You are. We created this mess. We can uncreate this mess. We're not teachable anymore. We've totally we know it all. NASA knows it all. Nuisance. Nuisance and Gory Laurie. They know it all. These cats got the money, so of course they know it all. They don't know shit from Shine Nola. They couldn't govern their ass out of a wet paper bag, and yet now he's ordered this horrible people, never more gruesome bunch of people called the Entertainment Commission, and of course they're going to dance with who brought them. Newsom and Laurie have given these people the awesome power to allow this beer garden across the street from me to blast their music so loud the neighbors are complaining their walls are shaking in Hayes Valley, all up and down Linden Alley, across all around that perimeter now. So you said you give them whatever they want. This is what happens when you tell alcoholics they can terrorize the neighborhood. I went down there actually when when they police finally came and got them out of there around 7 o'clock, just when they were closing, and there were 6 or 7 people there, 6 or 7 alcoholics terrorizing on Easter Sunday. There's heathens. There's goddamn heathens. Alcoholics, sick goddamn alcoholics. And then we've got, a neighbor, co-alcoholics, enablers, government. And he thinks he's gonna, no. We gotta stop that son of a bitch, Gavin Nuisance. Your days are over, you stupid bastard. And I'm saying that with love. With love. Really, I'm not going to screw up 77 years of intense working on myself for one monkey, one stupid asshole monkey was only compared. I don't know what makes him tick, and I don't even give a shit. Oh, God have mercy. Well, everybody, I had a good time. I hope you did too. And look for the synchronicity. Keep the baby faith. Keep the faith, baby. Whatever. Charlie Kirk. There's a clip of Charlie Kirk that. Oh yeah, there's not just one Antichrist. There's many Antichrists. Yeah, Jesus said, "Beware of false prophets." He didn't say a false prophet. He said so. Charlie Kirk said, "Empathy is a made-up word by liberal Democrats." And now his wife has picked up the torch, spreading hate and bigotry and white supremacy. God, isn't this wonderful to be incarnated when we're paradigm changes? Yeah, we're in this stuck in between now, but going to sleep at it. Let the shift happen. Work with it. Don't fight it. And if you're going through hell, keep going. You'll come out of it. I love you. Namaste. Let's do one little ring of the bell. Just. Oh. The revolution John Lennon sang about is upon us. Fascism isn't on its way. It's here. If it wasn't here, these phones would be working, man. You'd be talking to me right now. I love you. Let's keep the pressure on Gory Laurie. Tell him we know what he's doing. Spread the word. It's all about Gavin Newsom's not going to shoot himself in the wallet. He don't give a shit about your health. And we can't even tell him this because you get thrown out of City Hall. This was the only outlet, and it's just you. It's just us, honey. Just us. Yeah, it's just us. I love you. We will. We will survive. We are surviving. I see. I can and I will. Always make your affirmations in two tenses. We are. I am and I have. Now is beautiful. Thank you for this moment. Namaste.